You have to be careful about making a weird show or watching a weird show.
Hello, this is Greg Smalley on Pod 366, a Weird Movies podcast. Joined today, as I often am, by the indomitable Giles Edwards.
Hello.
And once again, I can't pronounce adjectives. We have 6 movies to discuss today, but just like last week, I'm going to start with a sort of announcement of a movie that's not necessarily worth covering in depth. Also, we have no graphics for it, but this was brought to my attention by L. Rob Hubbard. There is apparently a documentary, a behind-the-scenes documentary for Megalopolis. Done by Mike Figgis, of all people. Why Mike Figgis was just hanging around the Megalopolis set and shooting things, I can't tell you, but apparently he was. And Francis Ford Coppola, I guess, invited him on. It's sort of, according to this release from a sort of dodgy source, World of Real. It covers the entire production, the pre-production, the shoot, and the catastrophic release, as it says here. And Figgis has enough footage apparently for 5 movies, but he's trying to edit it down into 1, I guess. He wants to release it to film festivals later this year, and floated the idea of putting it on a double bill with a re-release of Megalopolis itself. It is listed on the Wikipedia site and IMDb as a movie in production, so I guess it is a real thing. But just thought I'd bring that to everybody's attention if you're a fan of Megalopolis or a fan of simply documentaries about train wrecks. Which I don't know if train wreck is the right way to describe Megalopolis, but it certainly had an interesting production, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of crazy stories from that set. But let's go into our 6 topics for this week, 2 of which are kind of paired. I have everything up on the screen, and I'm now going to take them off one by one so we can focus on one at a time, starting with this still of a new release that Giles will endeavor to describe for those of you who can't see it.
All right. Well, this is the fairly darkened interior of either a stylish office or a very sterile room in a house. Dominating half the frame is mostly obscured in shadow, but we see any number of clipboards. Looks like they might be behind some glass casing on a shelf there. And to the left of these clipboard wall is a little desk on which is a monitor featuring a computer-stylized young blonde Avatar-style woman, and I use Avatar in the classic meaning of the word as opposed to making reference to a blue alien-tinged science fiction thing. So we got a youngish woman computer Sims person. On the right-hand side is a bit more striking. The second source of light other than the monitor of the computer illuminates either a corridor, perhaps a large anteroom, maybe closet, with a human-sized figure draped in, I'm going to say, some really chic, like if Gucci did a trash bag wrap, it would possibly look like this. Human-sized I'm going to guess there's a person underneath that, covered completely head to foot with a sort of stylish, trashy draping.
Well, could you call that trashy draping maybe a shroud?
Shroud would be a good word, Greg. Yeah.
Yeah. And why would that be a good word?
Well, it is almost the title of the movie this still is taken from. Just slap an S on that, I believe, and
Is
put a the.
The Shrouds by David Cronenberg being released to theaters not in my town, which is strange because the last David Cronenberg movie got released here, but maybe it's coming a week from now. I haven't looked that far ahead. Um, The Shrouds, David Cronenberg's latest movie, shot in 2024, debuted at Cannes last year, if I'm not incorrect. If not Cannes, it was a festival of similar status. Um, Now coming to theaters from Janus Films, which is interesting. Why?
They mostly do home video distribution, from my understanding.
Sort of. They are pretty much a branch of Criterion
Oh yeah.
Collection. But they handle live releases, mostly old restorations, but occasionally a new film. And if Janus releases something, that's almost a guarantee that the Criterion Collection will put out an edition. So I'm going to say we can expect to see this on the Criterion Collection as soon as 2026, if not 2025.
And indeed, their channel, no less, if they.
And their channel, yes, of course. I'm going to go ahead and read the rather longish description from the site, if that's okay, to get people interested in this. Not that the fact that it's from David Cronenberg isn't interesting enough, but in an eerie, deceptively placid near future, a techno entrepreneur named Karsh, played by Vincent Cassell, has developed a new software that will allow the bereaved to bear witness to the gradual decay of loved ones and dead and buried in the earth, as one does. While Karsh is still reeling from the loss of his own wife, Diane Kruger, from cancer, and falling into a peculiar sexual relationship with his wife's sister, also played by Diane Kruger, a spate of vandalized graves utilizing his shroud technology begins to put his enterprise at risk, leading him to uncover a potentially vast conspiracy. Written following the death of the director's own wife, the new film from David Cronenberg is both a profoundly personal reckoning with grief and a descent into noir-tinged dystopia set in an ominous world of self-driving cars, data theft, and AI personal assistance. In other words, set next Tuesday. Offering Cronenberg's customary balance of malevolence and wit, The Shrouds is a sly and thought-provoking consideration of the corporeal and the digital, the mortal and the infinite. All right.
He's come a long way since Shivers.
Conspiracy. David Cronenberg with a movie involving a conspiracy?
Yeah, a biotech conspiracy, no less.
Yeah. Sort of similar to his last one and to every one he does. Yeah, so how excited are you for The Shrouds?
Um, that's more than some, less than others, I guess. I quite like Cronenberg, but I'm gonna hope maybe the trailer was at least a little misleading because it looked kind of muted. And obviously, everyone, virtually everyone mellows as they age, and I'm not going to begrudge Cronenberg a film, certainly one that is obviously helping with his grieving process. I did quite like what was that? Guy Pearce, isn't it?
Yeah, Guy Pearce.
Who has reached that great age. Now he's no longer so much the swain as a sort of tech schlub in this one, and I always like to see how actors deal with that transition. So yeah, no, it certainly looks more than interesting enough, and odds are I'll see it at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm above average interested in this. We haven't had a great run of weird movies released in 2025 yet, and it's April, so here's one that we're going to have to look at. because anything from Cronenberg. I do think the trailer for his previous films, Crimes of the Future, was a little muted too, and it turned out to be
Okay.
crazier than the trailer might lead you to believe. But yeah, Cronenberg has mellowed a little, and his films are now more slowly paced and have this, dark, shadowy character that you see in this still. But yes, there's significant interest in that one. Uh, this one has very, very significant interest
Oh, yes.
amongst a number of people. Uh, so, Giles, this is not that hard to describe this poster.
Yeah.
Maybe it is.
Oh, we got a black poster. We have an ornate cursive title written out on the top, and on the bottom 2/3 there is an incomplete egg-shaped thing that covered with cracks, and it's marred. The top third or so is just not there. But either I can't tell if it's emerging from or sprinkling down into little feathery items on the left-hand side, and more of a space dusty kind of looking stuff, either floating away or floating down on the right-hand side. Rather, yeah, simple, but rather bleak, and I have every reason to suspect teeming with symbolism.
Yeah. Um, so I lost my notes on this, but I do know what it is. You can read the title that's right
Sure,
there.
this is the cover for Angel's Egg.
Angel's Egg, which is very much requested and very rare and previously out of print movie, an anime from Mamoru Oshii. I once again massacring his name. Um, Famous for a number of films. On our list, he put uh, Urusei Yatsura 2, Beautiful Dreamer, a movie from a very strange adaptation of a TV series into a movie. Also, probably better known for the Ghost in the Shell movies, which are a lot of fun but much less weird. This, by all accounts, is a thoroughly weird, surreal movie about a young girl who finds an egg in a sort of desolate post-apocalyptic city. The visuals from everything I've seen are rather astounding. It's
Mm.
very low dialogue, but there is some dialogue. There is Christian symbolism in it, which is odd for the Japanese, but Japanese sometimes adapt Christian symbolism, sort of like we might adapt Buddhist or Hindu elements for their exotic character.
Mm.
Um, very highly anticipated. It had showed up in a restored version in the United States where it played in New York City. So we knew somebody had finally tracked down a copy of this. This was originally an OVA released directly to video, and they didn't preserve it very well, and they didn't re-release it, and there weren't a lot of copies. It was a very rare collector's item and had previously not been translated into English, although I say that, as I said, there's very little dialogue. But now it's getting a re-release and a Blu-ray, maybe even a 4K UHD release from Umbrella. There is a catch, however. Do you know what the catch is,
Oh
Giles?
gosh, I don't know what the catch is. What's the catch, Greg?
The catch is that this is being released in Australia. So not something we're going to be able to see in theaters at the present time, unfortunately. And if you get the Blu-ray, you have to have an internationally
I
compatible
think, yeah, is that
player,
region C? Gosh,
which
okay.
which I do.
Hey, me too.
However, I do assume that it would also be released in the US after this. So everybody is really excited about this.
Yeah, yeah, nice. I
Uh,
know. Yeah, I I saw the restoration trailer. Read Simon Heisloft's review. This thing looks fantastic.
yeah, it's very highly sought after. I've wanted to see it for years. It's one of those on the level of Son of the White Mare, maybe in a lot of
Mm.
ways. Visually spectacular, has a great reputation, cult movie reputation, and was unavailable for a long time, at least in a decent presentation. So we are very excited about this. But we'll go on to the next one. We'll just leave this one up for Giles to describe.
Sure thing. A very, very comic book feel to this, as befits the subject matter. It's one of those covers slash posters that has the sort of splatter of the major characters in, decreasing size, depending upon how important they are. In the foreground is an armored gentleman with a cape, pointed eared mask, holding a samurai sword, has a nice gilded elements around a sort of stylized body armor thing going on, and a serious expression as befits his dark hero status. Just behind him over his shoulder is a much more candy colored individual, a young woman with a domino style mask and a stylized, well, not stylized, that's really just a 16th, 17th century ruff that she has around her neck, which is a bit whimsical. She has also some sort of armor outfit thing going on with a cute little red bow around the waistline, and seems to be quite possibly having been hucking a sort of purple hued weapon, blade of some sort. And she's got a great big smile on her face, but her smile is nothing compared to the smile on the third character in the back, who is almost about the same, I'd say about the same proportions as the front character, who is the hero. This is a green haired gentleman with a severe jawline that actually nicely emphasizes the tremendous size and curvature of his maniacal smile. He is done up, his face is entirely white, has purple themed, let's see, what's sort of revelers fun. He's got a fun outfit going on from what little we can see, with some yellow and dark purple striping, and he just seems to be having the time of his life as he looms ominously in the background.
Yes, and it's a Blu-ray cover, and the title is
Batman Ninja.
okay. So Batman Ninja came out in 2018, and I just saw it listed in among the new blue. It went direct to video, I'm pretty sure, and I just saw it listed in a bunch of new releases, and I thought, well, that's odd, Batman Ninja, and I looked it up, and it's Batman, the Batman character in a medieval Japanese setting, um, and fighting the Japanese version of the Joker, done in anime style.
Yeah.
It's a licensed crossover with Japanese anime by DC Studios. And I thought, it looks interesting. I don't know if it's weird. I know who might like this, though. And I told Alfred Eker about it, and he was interested in reviewing it. I don't know that he'd ever seen an anime before he reviewed this. Maybe Akira. And he kind of loved it, and he gave it a glowing review on our site. He
Mm.
said, unnecessary character development and formulaic writing go the way of the dinosaur. And with all that out of the way, Batman Ninja is a creative and surreal romp. After seeing a 70-plus-year-old character go from camp to dystopian and then to just plain god-awful, Mizusaki actually does something new with it. So he was a big Batman fan, as am I, mainly of the 60s Batman. I do like The Dark Knight, not that much fan of the Burton a little bit, but anyway. Um, so yeah, it's a strange matchup, and apparently it produces a strange effect if Alfred is to be trusted, and I
Yeah.
don't know why we wouldn't trust him.
We kicked off the review with Batman Ninja is an utterly bizarre hoot. And
Yeah,
if that's not a recommendation, I don't know what could be.
yeah. So yeah, I love the idea of Batman as more of a samurai than a ninja, it looks like, but there we go. Um, and so this is being re-released this year as sort of being re-released in conjunction with this one, which Giles will now endeavor to explain,
Well,
discover.
we have our solemn looking hero once again with eared mask cape thing, hands held in a sort of, oh, I don't know what this gesture is called, but fingertips pressed together, a solemn sort of salutation, I guess I've seen it as. And behind him is an array of variants of famous, very old characters as well. On the right hand side, we can see the scratched, maybe scratched. Sorry, I'm on my small computer. Oh, there's a young woman with raven black hair done up in a band, and she is looking somberly down to the right, and opposite her, over the front character's right shoulder, is a fella with a sort of red-colored, close-fitting outfit and a large hat that I'm sure has a name, but I don't know it. I don't watch nearly enough Japanese period motion pictures, but it's a large cylinder broken up into many pieces. It looks very much like a sort of a cloth wheel on his head, which is befitting an individual of his considerable speeds. In the upper right-hand corner is a bearded fellow, white hair, white beard, white eyebrows, sort of a kingly look to his face, and he has a kind of coral orange color scheme to his outfit. And in the upper left-hand corner is a very green-tinged character, lots of glowing green, some fairly wild black hair interspersed with let's say, a head adornment that is also interlaced with this glowing green that doesn't look quite earthly, and all told, all very anime and mysterious, and but still, to these Western eyes, a bit familiar.
Yes, because it is again Batman in anime style. The title of this one, Giles?
Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League.
Yeah, so um, I believe it's Yakuza. I always wondered whether it was Yakuza or Yakuza. I believe it's
I've heard it from people who I would presume know both ways, so I guess I should continue my investigation.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Any rate, so this one is the sequel to the previous one. I'm not so sure that's a good idea. The previous one, sounded like as great as a one-off idea. You turn it into a series, and then you start doing world building and lore and stuff, and it becomes, kind of lame, to be honest.
It is a tremendous risk, I believe. I can't remember. I read in one of the little blurbs about this or the other one, because I know DC has its alternate universe line where they do little one-offs or mini-series based on like a different reimagination. I know there's like a Superman Red Sun, as if he had landed in Soviet Russia instead of the US, and how that might pan out. And I believe one or both of these are based on comics from that. And
Yes.
judging from the trailer for Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League, this seems to be exploring an alternate reality, an alternate universe of the alternate universe explored in the other movie, in that the timelines have shifted and the Justice League is gone, and so is Japan. So
We can only hope. One writer on user review on IMDb said, it starts off promisingly with the literal reigning of Yakuza over Gotham, and then it turns weird. So that sounds good.
That, yeah, I wonder what they meant by promisingly. If
No,
that
I
was referring
said,
to how weird it
I
could
said it
turn.
was promising. Oh, no, they said promise. Starts off promisingly with the literal reigning of Yakuza, and then it turns weird. So
I'm optimistic now.
yeah, so we have new, anime versions, Japanese versions of some other characters you can see that didn't make it into the first one, like the Flash. I think some other villains are in it that weren't in the first one, and so forth. So I haven't seen Batman Ninja, so I guess I can't. I'm only going by Alfred's recommendation, but may end up catching up on that one so I can watch this one too later. We shall see. Any last thoughts on Batman versus Yakuza, Giles?
Well, the reign of ninja, the reign of Yakuza, is explained delightfully, and I don't give much away since it's in the trailer. At least one of these criminal consortium forces has a giant Yakuza gun that fires them into the sky, which is looks fantastic.
I will mention that the trailer that put out by Warner Brothers in partnership with DC is dubbed, well, but they have both the dubbed and the subtitled version. If you watch it through, I think you'll realize that the subtitles are vastly superior, but there are some people who just won't watch a subtitled film.
Yeah, I'm of a mixed feeling about it. I pretty much always go for subtitles, while at the same time I know that means I'm not seeing as much of the on-screen action. So
Yeah.
there's a trade-off there, other than I guess learning Japanese, which
That's
I'm not too hopeful about.
not really an option. Okay, so those two are a paired couple, kind of interesting choices. But let's move on to this second to last, the penultimate release of the week. Giles, describe this striking Blu-ray cover.
It is striking. I'd say it's sort of like a painted version drawn from photographic stills, has a very giallo thing going on with it, with dominant color schemes, with a striking blue in the left-hand side, a menacing urban red in the right-hand side, and of course in the front there's this blue-toned woman with no hair on the top of her head in a, gosh, I don't know, it's sort of a muted maroon nightgown kind of thing, and she is obviously lying flat on her back on a surface with blood coming out of at least, it looks like probably both eyes, one of her nostrils, and her mouth. So she is obviously not doing well. She is on the bottom half or so of this. In the upper right hand side is a sort of unkept guy in a brown suit, brown tie. Looks like he has some sort of, maybe, I don't know, political pin on his lapel there. He is apparently maybe not entirely bald, but pretty darn close. He's got his arms raised to have his hands over his ears in a protective manner as he screams very loudly at or about something. And as a sort of wash of calm, as well as a tremendous coif, in stark comparison to the two other figures, is a concerned looking young man looking off to our left, who I'm guessing, considering the size of his head figure versus the other two, he's probably the main character, and maybe is just not as unhappy as they are, because he still has a glorious head of hair and lively sideburns.
He may even be Zalman King. Future director, exploitation movie star, and future director of Skinamax's The Red Shoe Diaries. So there we go. Yeah, and the movie is, as you'll see on the spine,
Blue Sunshine, and I don't know if it's because of the angle of the image or whatever, but it looks like a very thick case.
It looks like they're doing a mock-up of an old VHS case.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's how, I assume that's how the case actually comes. Perhaps not, but that's what.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Limited edition features hard chipboard slipcase packaging.
Say that again.
It features hard chipboard slipcase packaging.
Hard chipboard. Okay.
Yeah, which I haven't seen.
So yeah, the movie's it's a cult film from 1977. Basically, the premise is fairly simple. All these hippies took acid 10 years ago, and 10 years, a decade later, it makes them lose their hair and turn into homicidal killers, basically. Or as L. Rob Hubbard put it when he reviewed it for our site, what if all those drug scare films of the 60s were right? And that's the premise of this movie. So that 10 years later, you have these horrible flashbacks that turn you into a crazy killer. It is sort of, this movie had skipped a regular Blu-ray release, as far as I can tell, and has gone straight to 4K, although they include a Blu-ray also.
They include a lot.
It's a
Limited
very
edition.
packed,
Yeah.
packed with special features. The most exciting to me are, I always love it when they include the CD soundtrack
Yeah, I
as
see
a
that down
bonus
there.
feature, because I'm a soundtrack collector, so that's always a thrill for me. They've got posters, and they have two vintage anti-drug scare films from the 60s, the kind of things that might have inspired this.
Yeah.
LSD 25 and LSD Insight or Insanity, which are both from about exactly a decade before this movie came out. So yeah, that's that. I think that's very exciting for people who are fans of this movie, obviously, and it is a cult film. This is going to be a very nice purchase.
Yeah.
We do have one more film to discuss, though.
Uh-oh. Yes,
I'm
we do.
chuckling just looking at the cover, which
Oh,
Giles will
good.
now attempt to describe in our remaining 6 minutes. Maybe.
Okay. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 people on here. I believe I included the strange figure in the very far upper right-hand corner, tucked amidst the title and not with the milieu down at the bottom. Bottom left-hand corner has something that really caught my eye here, though. It's a plate full of crabs. That seems to be contemplated by I'm going to guess a mustachioed Japanese gentleman in a white suit, black shirt, white tie, and incongruously flowing blonde hair with bangs. So he in the crab tray catch the eye. In the background, there's a sort of old armor, but still, I'm going to say retro sci-fi look, kind of hyper samurai, hyper ninja warrior person. I guess if taking the size of this entity's body in context, that is actually a very small sword they're holding, but let's not get bogged down on such details. Right hand side, there's just over a 3/4 profile view of a comely young woman with raven black hair, looking to be in the throes of, I'm going to say, ecstasy. Why not? Bottom right-hand corner, we got a trio of figures all about the same size that seem to be fighting a bit, and I believe we can see the glow of a clash of their blades there. Individual on the far right-hand side is clad entirely in some sort of red pajama gear, or otherwise maybe assassiny style get up. And I'm guessing it's sort of in the middle-ish is probably the main character, judging from how often they showed up in the trailer, is a mustachioed, handsome American guy, all kind of buff with camo slacks and no shirt, and Hero's blonde haircut there, and he's holding also a sword that might do better to be proportioned to him, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. The trailer for this suggested one should approach this with an easygoing, open mind.
Okay, and the title?
Ninja Terminator.
Ninja Terminator. Giles, do you know anything about Ninja Terminator?
Not anything that would be outside the trailer, which was heavy on Ninja, less heavy on Terminator, and didn't really seem to have any indication of what the movie was about.
Well, that's because the movie's probably not about anything other than ninjas. So this is from Godfrey Ho. Godfrey Ho made a number of movies. One of them is canonically weird. It could have been this one, but it wasn't. We chose Ninja Champion as the representative of Godfrey Ho's oeuvre on our site. Although this one maybe is more popular and more infamous, but it was not as easy to get a hold of at the time I made the pick. So Godfrey Ho, if you don't know, had a method of making movies, which is he would buy, or the company he worked for would buy a cheap old kung fu movie and cut it up and add in new scenes with American actors of ninjas, because ninjas were hot at the time. So it would be a 70s movie intercut with an 80s movie about ninjas, and the two plots, they'd make some kind of effort to make them mesh, but there's no way to do it. So there would just be occasional ninja battles for no apparent reason sprinkled throughout the film. And this one is famous. Makes the appearance of the Garfield clock, which people always comment on, and has some wind-up toys as well in it. Is it great fun? I don't know. Giles, you're back. We both broke up a little there simultaneously. But yeah, that's Ninja Terminator. Some people will be really excited about that's available. We have less than a minute. I'm going to say no guests that we know of next week. We will have guests in May at some time, maybe even in April. Don't know. But I'm going to say bye-bye for now, and we'll be back next week with the same deal.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. See you next week.
Weird. Yeah, I guess that is the word for it. Weird.